What's up, guys? Matt back here with Phoenix Flippers. Today I'm going to go over the shoes that I have sold in the months of March, April, and May. And if you aren't selling shoes, I'm going to go over some reasons why you should be. Let's get started. Alright, so first up are these FootJoy Fury shoes. They're golf shoes, of course. I paid $5.25 for them. My profit on them was $47.59, and those took 36 days to sell. Next up are these blue Vans, guys. I pulled these out of my closet, so I had virtually no cost into them because they were ones I had been wearing for a while. My profit on these was $18.60, and they literally sold within minutes of me listing them. Next are these black Z coils. I paid $2 for them. My profit on them was $28.58, and they took 18 days to sell. Next up are these Cole Haan sandals. I paid $8 for them. My profit was only $9.53, and they took 175 days to sell. Next up are these Cam Newton shoes. These are shoes that Noah and Brock split for the 20 and 2020. They paid $12.78 for these. Their total profit was $28.83, and these took 42 days to sell. Next up, guys, are these Adidas shower shoes. I got these as a Christmas gift, but they were a little too snug for my feet, so I decided to sell them. I had no cost into them, obviously. My profit was $20, and they took 13 days to sell. Next up are these Hoka One Clifton 6s. I paid $13.89 for them. My profit was $35.04, and those took 18 days to sell. Guys, next are these Adidas Torsion shoes. This is the first pair of shoes that I actually bought RA. I got these at TJ Maxx. Paid $32.70 or $32.48 for these. My profit was $25.48, and they took 7 days to sell. Next up are these Asics running shoes. I got these in a big, huge lot that I bought. I think it was like 20 pair of shoes. They averaged out to about $2.40 per pair. My profit on these was $11.78, and they took 10 days to sell. Next up are these leather Converse. I paid $4.50 for these at a thrift store. They were part of my 20 and 2020. They sold. My profit was $18.37, and they took 65 days to sell. Next up are these Echo Track 2 Gore-Tex shoes. I paid $13.50 for these. My profit was $32.30, and they took 16 days to sell. Next up are these Ariat boots. I paid $12.79 for these. My profit was $36.22, and they took 21 days to sell. Next up are these Dansko pony hair clogs. I bought a lot of clogs. There was, 12 or 13 pairs. It came out to $6.36 per pair. So my cost, of course, was $6.36. I profited $19.22 on these, and they took 6 days to sell. All right, guys. Next up are these Doc Marten wingtip shoes. I paid $15 for them at a thrift store. My profit was $21.12, and they took 47 days to sell. Next up are these Merrell Beluga hiking shoes. I paid $9.99 for them. My profit was $11.48, and they took 172 days to sell. Next up are these Keen canvas shoes. I paid $10 for them. My profit was $9.24, and they took 10 days to sell. Next up is this lot of 3 shoes. They all went to the same buyer. There was some Hokas in here, some Brooks, and some Asics. All of them were in pretty poor condition. My purchase cost for all 3 of those was $30.78. My profit was $14.55. And the Hokas I had for 70 days, the Brooks for 136 days, and the Asics for 226 days. Next up, guys, are these Adidas skate shoes. I paid $2 for these at a yard sale. My profit was $18, and I had them for 18 days. Next up are these Asics Gel Ventures. I paid $6.99 for them. My profit was only $6.60, and I had them for 282 days. Next up are these Hokas. I paid $5 for them. My profit was $30, and I had them for 13 days. Next up are these Echo Walkathon shoes. I paid $10 for them at a thrift store. My profit was $34.57, and I had them for 64 days. Next up is this pair of Nikes. I paid $2.50 for them. My profit was $22.50, and I had them for 29 days. Next up are these SAS timeout shoes. I paid $4.99 for them at a thrift store. My profit was $28.01. I had them for 20 days. Next up are these Vans. They were denim. Kind of weird shoe. I bought them specifically because they were denim. Paid $4.99 for them. They did not sell very good. My profit was only $7.73, and I had them for 37 days. I also had these pair of Nike Kobe's. Paid $5 for them. They sold, or my profit was $40, and they sold within 7 days. And then I had also these Keen sandals. I paid $5 for them. My profit was $16.60, and I had them for just 3 days. Guys, those are all the shoes that I sold in the month of March. I had 27 pairs sell. My cost for those was $212.91, which was an average cost of $7.89. My profit was $563.11, which is an average of $20.85 per pair of shoes. Guys, just in the month of March on shoes alone, my ROI was 264.48%. So if you're not selling shoes, you need to look at it because the ROI can be pretty good. Let's take a look at April. All right, guys, first up in April are these Nike Reacts. I paid $35 for these. I got them off of a Facebook Marketplace deal. My profit on them was $50.73, and they took 67 days to sell. After that, I have these Hokas. I paid $3.83 for these. My profit was $16.17, and they took 15 days to sell. Next up are these Brooks Ghost 9s. I paid $7.83 for them. My profit was $19.77, and they took 15 days to sell. Next up are these Born Ridgeway shoes. I paid $8 for them. My profit was $20.27, and they took 295 days to sell. They took a long time. Next up are these New Balance Minimus shoes. I paid $6.79 for these. My profit was $19.16, and they took 69 days to sell. Next up are these Nike Roche Youth shoes. I paid $4.50 for them. My profit was $11.50. They sold in 16 days. Next up are these Merrill Bosco slip-on shoes. I paid $7.03 for them. My profit was $14.24, and those took 23 days to sell. Next up is this pair of Justin Roper boots. I paid $5.50 for them. My profit was $41.95, and those took 35 days to sell. Next up are these Keen Kids sandals. I paid $2.23 for them. My profit was $9.51, and those sold in 2 days. Next up are these Echo spikeless shoes. Not a very good colorway. I paid $5.99 for them. They eventually sold for my profit was $20.90, and it took 234 days to sell. So those ones I took a long time as well. Next up are these Adidas golf shoes. I paid $2 for them at a yard sale. My profit was $24.68, and those took 73 days to sell. Next up are these FootJoy M Projects, also golf shoes. I paid $9.79 for them, thinking that they were going to sell very well. I did not comp them when I bought them in the store. My profit was $11.37, and they took 64 days to sell, so not a very good one there, but I did still double my money. Next up are these Merrill Primo slides. I paid $2 for those at a thrift store. My profit was $15.05. They took 161 days to sell. Next up, I have two different pair of Dansko shoes. Again, these were part of the Dansko lot that I bought, so they were $6.36 a piece. My profit was $13.64 on each one of them, and they took 41 days to sell. The same person bought them on OfferUp, so I gave them a deal. Next up are these Echo Light Shock Point shoes. I paid $6.99 for them. My profit is $14.91, and those took 220 days to sell. Another long one there. Next up are these Under Armour Charger shoes. I paid $2.40 for them. My profit was $17.60. Those took 46 days to sell. Next up are, and this is the last one for the month of April, are these Newton Motion Stability shoes. I paid $6.99 for them at a Goodwill. My profit was $25.11, and those took 177 days to sell. And let's go over the numbers for April. All right, guys, so in the month of April, I had 18 pair of shoes sell. My cost on those was $129.59, which is an average of $7.20 per pair of shoes. My profit was $360.20, which is an average of $20.01 per pair of shoes. So my ROI for the month of April is 277.95%. Again, very, very high. It's actually higher than March. So a couple good months of ROI. Let's get into May now. All right, guys. First up in May are these Nike Revolution 3s. Paid $5 for them. My profit was $25. Those just took 7 days to sell. Next are these Nike Shox Hibiscus. I got them at a yard sale for $1. My profit was $19. Those sold in 1 day. Next up are these Asics Gel Kayano 22s. I paid $2.40 for those. That was part of the big, huge shoe lot where they averaged out to $2.40. My profit was $21.53, and those took 56 days to sell. Next are these Rockport sandals. I paid $6 for them. My profit was $12.56, and those took 238 days to sell, so another long one. Next are these Echo Receptor Mary Janes. I paid $4.63 for these at a Goodwill. My profit was $34.37, and those sold in 16 days. Next up is yet another pair of Hokas. I paid $9.79. Actually, these were Grace's. I'm sorry. She paid $9.79 for these. Her profit was $17.29, and it took 121 days to sell. All right, guys. Next up are these Merrells. Paid $4.99 for them. My profit was $21.51. Those took 218 days to sell. Next up are these Starberry Knicks color shoes. I paid $8 for them. I was pretty excited when I saw them. I thought they'd go for more, but my profit was only $23.87, and those took 340 days to sell, so a long, long time. Next up are these Mizuno Wave Enigma 5s. Paid $6.23 for them. My profit was $28.77, and those sold in 38 days. Next up are these Echo Cool Gore-Tex Surround shoes. I paid $15 for those, so I did pay up for them. My profit was $22.20, and those took 197 days to sell. Those were a smaller size of men's shoes. I think that's why they took so long. But I still made a decent profit on them, $22. So next up are these New Balance Cruise Sport shoes. Paid $3.83 for those. My profit was $21.17, and those took 23 days to sell. Next are these Nike Flex Experience Kid shoes. Paid $1.99 for them. My profit was $12.41. Those took 38 days to sell. Next are these FootJoy Freestyle Golf shoes. I paid $9.89 for them. My profit was $30.53, and those took 119 days to sell. Next are these Nike Zoom Vapors. I bought these off of Mercari for $18.22. I sold them on eBay. You can see that I think it was like $69.99, but my profit was $40.88. Those only took 19 days to sell. Next up are these Adidas Alpha Bounce shoes. These were part of a lot that Noah and I split. We paid $6 for these shoes. Our profit was $12, and they took 13 days to sell. Next up are these Keen Kids sandals. I paid $4.89 for those. My profit was $18.07, and those took 10 days to sell. Next up is yet another pair of Danskos. These are Mary Janes. I paid $6.36 for them. My profit was $23.64, and those took 58 days to sell. Next are these Harley Davidson canvas shoes. I found them in a Goodwill for $7.79. My profit was only $14.59, and it took 80 days to sell those. Next up are yet another pair of Hoka 1-1s. You can see in the picture, I'll circle it. There's actually a hole in one of them. I paid $13 for these. I did not see the hole, otherwise I would have passed on them. My profit was $10.89, and those took 301 days to sell. Next up are these Skechers Shape Ups. These are Noah's. He purchased these to resell for $7.79. His profit was $12.21. Took 70 days. Next up are these Keen hiking boots. I got them for $3.83. My profit was $36.67, and those only took 5 days to sell. Next up are these Chaco sandals. I paid $6.99 for them. My profit was $5.71. Took 327 days again. Next up are these Merrell Mixmaster Move Glides. I paid $5.79 for them. My profit was $30.27. Those sold in 2 days. This is a hot shoe, guys. You find it, you better buy it because they sell quickly and for decent money. Next up are these Converse John Varvatos. These are the ones that Logan purchased for his 20 and 2020. He paid $5.40 for them. Sold them for $27.42. It took 139 days to sell. Next up are these Merrell All Out Blaze sandals. Paid $8.50 for these. My profit was $19.90. And took 87 days to sell. Next up are these Keen Owahi, I think. I'm not exactly positive how you pronounce it. I paid $6.99 for them. My profit was $22.92, and they took 278 days to sell. Next up are these little kid LeBrons. I paid $3.83 for them. My profit was $20.95, and those took 37 days to sell. All right, guys. Next up are these Nike Free 5.0s. I paid $5 for them. My profit was $24.93, and those took 45 days to sell. Next up are these Saucony. They're green and pink. I forget the name. It's like Grind or something like that. You can see it on the screen. Paid $10.23, which was too much. My profit was $10.96, and they sold in 5 days. So I did still double my money, but I did pay up for those. Next up are these Nike Zoom LeBrons. I paid $10 for these from a Facebook deal. My profit was $28.93, and those sold in 23 days. Next is this women's pair of Echo Biome shoes. Paid $8 for them. My profit was $10.61, and they sold in 255 days, so they took a long time as well. Next up are these Brooks Transcends. Paid $6.23 for them. Actually, the next two pair went to the same persons. Brooks Mach 11. Also paid $6.23 for them. My profit on each one was $23.77. The Transcends sold in 15 days, and the Mach 11s I had for 66 days, but again, they went to the same person. I cut her a deal so that it was a little bit less profit, but I sold them through OfferUp. Next up is this pair of Merrell Agility Synthesis Flex shoes. Paid $4.63 for them. My profit was $29.35, and they sold in 1 day. Next up are these Echo Apron Toe, I think they're called, Oxfords. I paid $1 for them. My profit was $17.99, and they sold in 56 days. And let's go over the numbers for May. All right, you guys, so for May, I had 32 pair of shoes sell. My total cost was $212.47, which is an average of $6.64 per pair of shoes. My profit was $699.72, which is an average of $21.86 per pair of shoes. My ROI for the month of May was 329.32%, which is a pretty good ROI for the month of May. I'm going to go over just the two that I sold so far in June, and then we'll break down the total numbers so you guys can see why you should be selling shoes if you aren't already. All right, guys, so first up are these Skechers Work Shape Up shoes. I paid $1 for these. My profit was $43.81. They took 10 days to sell. Next up are these Jordan 11 Retro Lows. I paid $15.83 for them. My profit was $71.65, and those sold in 3 days. I'm going to break down the totals. The reason I did 3 months is I think that's a good base to figure out an actual ROI. So I'm going to go over the totals here for you really quickly. Okay, guys, so the totals for the 3 months plus the 2 that I sold in June. I sold a total of 79 pair of shoes. My cost was $571.80, which is $7.24 per pair of shoes. My total profit was $1738.49, which is an average of $22 per pair of shoes. So my ROI, guys, and if you don't know how you figure that, I will tell you. You take your total profit, which for me was $1738.49, divide it by your cost, which mine was $571.80, and then you multiply that number by 100, and that's how you get the percentage of your ROI. My percentage for these shoes was 304.03. 300% ROI for 3 months of shoes sales is pretty good. If you're not selling shoes, that's why you should be, because the ROI is good. They're easy to store. Even if you don't have racks like this, you can fit 10 to 12 pair in just a regular bin, and they're easy to store. They're easy to ship. You can get free boxes from USPS. Guys, again, the reason I went ahead and did the full 3 months of shoes, I wanted you to see what shoes I sold, what different brands to look out for, which ones you could see, I made a better profit on. I know this is kind of a longer video, but I truly hope that it helps you in your selling business, being able to look at, if you're not looking at shoes, to look at something a little different way. High return on investment, and it's worth the time and effort that you put into it, because cleaning them and taking pictures is really easy. And then, like I said, they're really easy to ship. Guys, if you like this content, please leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know that you like it. Again, I won't have videos that are this long usually, but I wanted to run through the full 3 months so that you guys could see an actual ROI based on 3 months of sales. Again, hopefully you liked it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will check you guys out on the next one.